Let's have some more news. A woman wakes up to find a stranger sitting in her living room playing with her dog. A villager allegedly attacks a wheelchair-bound wife suffering from MS. A suspect tracked down after jewelry taken from a car at Eaton's Beach. Law enforcement investigating the theft of a political banner in the Villages. A resident of the Villages was found guilty of trying to solicit child sex. He's back in the news. Ed McGinty wearing orange until Trump goes to prison. Another sex offender recently released from prison is now staying at a home in the Villages. Segway riders of the Villages to take part in the 4th of July parade in Philadelphia. Rats and snakes moving to dead couple's home in foreclosure in the Villages. Once again, the Recreation Department explains the standards for checking IDs at pools. A villager checks her bank statement to find that a teen had ripped her off. How many holes in ones of golf did we get this week? An opinion piece instead of letters to the editors by a famous author. This and more.
Coming up. A new roundabout made its debut this week on Rolling Acres Road. The roundabout is located south of County Road 466 and south of American Legion Post 347. The roundabout will serve as a chief entry point to the massive new Hammock Oak subdivision, which is under development. Rolling Acres Road, which is owned by Lake County and has already been classified as a failing road, is already home to an enormous amount of traffic. The roundabout in its early days appears to be slowing down some of the traffic. A second roundabout is being planned near Anderson Lane on Rolling Acres Road, north of Lake Ella Road. A woman was startled to find a stranger in her living room playing with her dog. The woman who lives at Sunset Harbor Road in Summerfield found a man later identified as 27-year-old Dustin Michael Williams of Weirsdale at about 4 a.m. Tuesday, according to the arrest report from the Marion County Sheriff's Office. The woman called 911 while she was hiding in a closet. She said she had been sleeping when she heard a loud noise that came from the back room of her home. She went to the living room where she saw Williams playing with her dog. She ran to her bedroom and hid in the closet. Williams followed her and opened the door to the closet. "It's okay, you can come out now," he told her. Yeah. She began screaming and ordered him to get out of her home, but he would not leave. They were both in the bedroom when the deputy arrived on the scene. Williams went to hide in an adjoining bathroom. The woman confirmed she did not know Williams, who told law enforcement that he was at Grandma's house. I don't know. Things around here anymore. Just getting nuts. A villager was arrested after an alleged attack on his wheelchair-bound wife who suffers from multiple sclerosis. The village's public safety department responded Monday to the home of 77-year-old Ronald Francis Revel and his wife of more than 4 decades in the village of Hawkins. Suspecting elder abuse had occurred, law enforcement was summoned by the EMS crew to the home on Brent Way. When officers arrived, Revel claimed his wife had been calling his names and he couldn't take it anymore, according to a arrest report from the Wildwood Police Department. He said he is his wife's caregiver. The wife called for an ambulance when he would not help her out of the wheelchair, the report said. Revel slapped her on the back of the head out of anger. The wife was distraught and crying, but she began begging officers not to arrest her husband. She said her husband does not have a violent history. He was arrested on a charge of battery. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $100 bond. I'm just going to say that he is his wife's caregiver. He's the nursemaid. He's not trained for that. And he's watching his wife of 40 plus years deteriorate in front of him. And so that's hard on the mind and the soul. So I have no comment. A villager is facing a felony charge in an apparent golf cart road rage incident. William Gordon Rodseth, 74, the village of Dunedin, turned himself in Monday morning at the Sumter County Detention Center on a felony charge of battery on a person over the age of 65. His arrest stems from a May 9 incident on a golf cart path in the Villages. Rodseth was driving a blue 2-seater golf cart when he passed 91-year-old villager. Way to go, man, making it to 91. According to the arrest report from Sumter County Sheriff's Office, a 91-year-old villager called Rodseth an asshole. Good God, God bless him. There's a certain thing around here that when you get to a certain age, you just say what comes to your mind and you just don't care. He's there. I think I'm getting close. This appears to have been Ray's Rotseth, who followed the 91-year-old to his home in the Villages, which was less than a mile from where they had been traveling. Rotseth pulled into the man's driveway and pushed the older man in the shoulder. An altercation followed, and the 91-year-old ended up on the ground. Rotseth got back into his golf cart and drove away. Several weeks went by, and the identity of the attacker was not known. The 91-year-old had surveillance cameras on the exterior of his home, and an image generated a tip as to the identity of the attacker. A positive identification was made this past week, prompting Rodseth to turn himself in. The Rock Island, Illinois native was booked at the jail, where he was initially held without bond. Come on, man. When you saw the guy, he looked old, right? What are you doing? What are you doing? Did you have too many beers or something? A drunk driving suspect was transported by ambulance from the scene of a crash in the Villages. Richard John Noble, 78, of Akui, was driving a gray 2023 Kia sedan when he was involved in a crash at 12:30 p.m. Thursday on U.S. Highway 27 and 441 at Griffin Avenue, according to the arrest report from the Lady Lake Police Department. When officers arrived on the scene, Noble was already in an ambulance operated by the Villages Public Safety Department. An open container of 4 local alcoholic beverage was found in the Pennsylvania's native's vehicle. 2 unopened bottles of Caliber citrus vodka were found in the vehicle's front floorboard. Noble was transported by the ambulance crew to UF Health Leesburg Hospital. He later provided breath samples that registered 0.124, 0.117 blood alcohol content. Officers found that last year, Noble's license had been revoked for 5 years due to a previous drunk driving conviction. They just never learn. Noble was arrested on felony charges of driving under the influence and driving while license revoked for DUI. He was booked at the Lake County Jail on a $25,000 bond. You don't play around up there. An 84-year-old villager is serving 29 days in jail after skipping driving school. Francis Doshniak of the village of Piedmont was sentenced to jail time this past week in Sumter County Court. Doshniak's legal woes began on January 13 when he was driving a 2009 black Kia 4-door and was involved in a minor accident at Buena Vista Boulevard in El Camino Real. That's up by the village's hospital. Sorry, my nose itches. What does that mean? Somebody always told me that meant something. My nose itches. You know, somebody talking about you or something. He left the scene but was later located by Sumter County Sheriff's deputies. He was not arrested, but he was issued a criminal citation charging him with leaving the scene of an accident without giving information. I just learned something. I thought that was an arrestable offense. He was placed on probation for 6 months and ordered to complete a basic driver improvement class. However, he failed to report to his probation officer and never provided proof he had taken the driving course. He was arrested at his home on June 10th by Marion County Sheriff's deputies. He was later transferred to the Sumter County Detention Center, where he is now serving out his sentence. I don't know. Maybe. I forget everything. Segway riders of the Villages to take part in July 4th parade in Philly. The Segway Riders Club in the Villages drill team has been invited to participate in the 4th of July Independence Day parade in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Segway Riders will also take part in a parade in Glenside, Pennsylvania. The Philadelphia parade steps off at 11 a.m. and the Glenside parade, the third oldest 4th of July parade in the country, begins at 4 p.m. The parade organizers were introduced to us by our performance in the World Association of Marching Show Bands Parade of Nations appearance in July 2023 in Buchanan, West Virginia, and reached out to us to participate in their parades in Pennsylvania this year. We were told by the organizers of West Virginia event that we were the only Segway drill team they could locate anywhere in the USA, said club president Ken Redding. We have a lot of clubs here that we're the largest or the only. Our Corvette Club is the largest in the United States, in case you don't know. 13 Segway Club drill team members and 3 non-riders will arrive in Pennsylvania for 3 days on July 2 and depart on July 5. The group will tour Independence Hall on July 3, and the riding members will take a cheesesteak tour with a local guide in the afternoon and sample the famous Philly cheesesteaks. Have one for me because I love them. On July 5, the group will again be led by a local tour guide as we do the historic Segway tour of Philadelphia. Club dinners are planned for each evening at local restaurants in Glenside, PA. The Segway Club of the Villages will be representing Florida in both parades as the only participant from the Sunshine State. Way to go, people. We have also been invited to participate in the much larger 250th anniversary celebration planned for 2026 in both Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., Redding said. Way to go. Way to go, guys. Have a great time. Here's a story here that I read earlier. Hopefully I don't screw it up too bad, because I'm not the best reader. But I got a couple of questions on this. Follow me. A suspected thief has been tracked down after jewelry was taken from a car at Eaton's Beach restaurant in Weirsdale. I like Eaton's Beach. Never been there. I recommend it. Mary Louise Metcalf, 67, of Summerfield, is facing a felony charge of grand theft following her arrest this past week by Marion County Sheriff's deputies. A rented Nissan Altima with Georgia license plates had been parked on the night of June 2nd at the popular beachfront restaurant. The vehicle had been parked in front of the restaurant so the couple renting the vehicle could pack up their beach gear. A restaurant manager asked them to move the car. A 1-year-old child was left in the running vehicle while the couple briefly walked away from the car. When they returned, they found that $1,900 in cash and about $15,000 in jewelry had been taken from the vehicle. Video surveillance showed a woman entering the car and then leaving Eaton's Beach in a black Chevrolet Monte Carlo. The Monte Carlo is registered to a person who resides with Metcalf. When a deputy went to Metcalf's home to interview her, she indicated she would need to get a lawyer. End of the story. Couple of things. One is, leaving a 1-year-old child in a running vehicle, I don't care how briefly, period, you just don't do that. That's just dangerous for everybody. But here's the main thing. Who leaves $1,900 in cash, like in the front seat of a car to be seen or wherever it was at? It was in the car somewhere. Goes in a restaurant and just leaves it laying there. I mean, I would have put it in my pocket if nothing else. And then also, $15,000 in jewelry. I guess that really, for some things, that could be a ring, that could be just a watch, or it could be a box full of stuff. I don't know. But either or, we're talking about, what would that be here? $16,000, almost $17,000 of stuff in your car while you go inside, and you said you went down to the beach. I've been there. I know where the beach is and where the car's parked. You wouldn't even be able to see your car from the beach down there. What's the matter with people? What can I tell you? This is goofy. Well, there used to be a TV show years ago. It was called You Asked For It. Once again, Mr. Rohan and his office are going to explain the process of checking IDs at our local swimming pools. The Recreation and Parks Department has set standards for checking ID cards at the village's swimming pools that fall under its purview. Individuals are not asked to get out of the swimming pools or stop play in order to check IDs unless they do not meet the age requirement or are reported by a resident that they do not meet resident and guest eligibility standards. Question. If you see somebody in the pool that's questionable about their age, if you don't ask them to get out of the pool and check their ID, then how are you ever going to know? Sports pool classes programs is residents only. That's true. The sports pools is for residents only, not your guests. They cannot go into our sports pool legally. Each activity or program will be checked a minimum of once a week. That's a joke. Once a week. Water ball, exercise class, combo swim, and lap swim. I know when I used to play volleyball, because I really liked it. It was just exercise. It was cool. It was easy. I liked it. If you got hip problems, knee problems, I'm telling you, think about water volleyball. And when we went into Eisenhower Rec Center, there was a person, because you have to kind of go through the shower area to get to the pool, and there was a person sitting right there. Every time I went there, they checked everybody's ID that went through that door. They didn't check nobody coming out. They only checked you going in. Neighborhood recreation centers, adult pools are ages 30 plus. If there's somebody in there 28 years old and they're in the pool, how do you question them? How do you ask for an ID to check it? How? Recreation staff checks these pools upon opening each morning and closing each evening, then at various times of the day. Neighborhood recreation centers, adult pools, you're supposed to be 30 years old and older to be there with guest ID, and anytime you're a guest, you're supposed to have the resident with you at all times. That rule is never followed, but that's the rule. Recreation staff check these pools upon opening each morning and closing each evening, then at various times each day, or more often if staff is available. This is a minimum of 3 times daily. One time each between the hours of 7 a.m. and noon, and then from noon till 5, and then from 5 p.m. to close. Community Watch checks at least 2 neighborhood pools each afternoon. They rotate the pools checked so that all of them are checked at least once every 4 days. Family pools are checked a minimum of 3 times daily, once each between the hours of 7 a.m. to noon, noon to 5, and 5 p.m. to close. And keep in mind, the family pools are generally sitting right next to the people that's supposed to check the pools, check your IDs. Law enforcement is investigating the theft of a political banner in the Villages. Gilbert Windsor of the village of Bonita had taken his golf cart adorned with a Craig Estep for Sumter County Commissioner banner at about 8 a.m. Wednesday to the postal station of the village of Sanibel. He left the golf cart at the postal station. When Windsor returned at about 8:30 p.m., the banner was gone. Now, why would you take a golf cart up there to set it all day long with that banner on there? That's just asking for trouble. I got no problem with the banner, what you do, but the idea of taking your golf cart somewhere and just parking it all day, that's the problem. He contacted the Sumter County Sheriff's Office and reported the theft. Deputies reportedly dusted for fingerprints and have been checking surveillance cameras for any clues. Estep, a villager who currently serves as chairman of the Sumter County Commission, is seeking re-election. He faces Todd Kuhn, a candidate who's backed by the developer of the Villages. Kuhn, who owns a company which does landscaping for new homes south of State Road 44 in the Villages, raises more than $100,000 in the most recent reporting period. You hear what I said, right? Let me repeat that so you understand what's going on down here in the good old boy system. Estep, a villager who currently serves as chairman of the Sumter County Commission, is seeking re-election. He faces Todd Kuhn, a candidate who is backed by the developer of the Villages. Kuhn, who owns a company which does landscaping for new homes south of State Road 44 in the Villages, raised more than $100,000 in the most recent reporting period. I wonder where all that money come from. The vast majority of the money came from the developer. I'm shocked. Executives working for the developer and the loyalists. That's what they call them. Here's how that works. You will donate to who I tell you to donate to, or there may not be any more work for you to do here. A resident of the Villages is now required to register as a sex offender after being found guilty of using a computer to solicit a parent or guardian for consent for child sex. Daniel Joseph Hansen, 33, who lives at 2151 K. Lee Drive in the village of Ashland, pleaded no contest to a charge last week in Marion County Court. In return for his plea, charges of traveling to meet a minor for illegal sexual contact and unlawful use of a two-way communication device were dismissed. See, they're negotiating away a law to protect everybody, and they just negotiated away. Hansen, who also goes by the alias of Daniel Joseph Hansex, cute, had been placed on probation for 5 years. Hansen was arrested as a result of a 2022 law enforcement sting operation in which a detective posed as a 37-year-old uncle offering up his 14-year-old niece for sex. A meeting was set up at the Waffle House restaurant in Ocala. Deputies found Hansen's tan Toyota Tacoma driving in circles around the Waffle House. He was apparently looking for the vehicle that had been described as part of the meeting. A traffic stop was initiated in the parking lot at the nearby McDonald's restaurant. Hansen was in possession of condoms and an orange soda. The detective posing as the uncle told Hansen that the 14-year-old liked orange soda. And these people live in a retirement community, or what used to be a retirement community. Does this feel like a retirement community to you? And he's back. Villager Ed McGinty has declared he'll be wearing orange until former President Trump is put behind bars. The Village of Hadley resident said he has purchased orange shirts, shorts, swimwear in the lead up to Trump's scheduled sentencing July 11th in a Manhattan courtroom. McGinty was already well known in the Villages for his protests against Trump when he was arrested in 2021 after reportedly showing up at a home of a woman in the Villages of whom he had been locked in a long-running bitter political feud. McGinty was acquitted. After the drama of court battles, time behind bars, and being banned from the neighborhood pool, McGinty promised his wife his days of political protesting was over. However, with the 2024 election looming larger than ever, McGinty could not resist showing his disdain for President Trump, even in a subtle way. He said he has joined a growing movement across the country in which voters opposed to Trump are wearing orange, in the hopes the former president will soon be clad in an orange jumpsuit. I gotta tell you, here's my only comment. I don't care about politics. I really don't. Who's in, who's out. I just think politics should be fair. And like you're going to see in some of the reporting today about our local elections here in the Wildwood Commission, how things are stacked against everybody. It's crooked. It's wrong. It's the good old boy systems, like I like to refer to it as. Ed McGinty has a mental problem. He really does. He's been arrested. He's been banned. All kinds of problems. He just won't stop. I don't know what his problem is. It ain't Trump. Forget Trump. It's him. He did a YouTube channel after he got banned and all this and that. He started a YouTube channel, or somebody did for him. He did a short little video on YouTube, which I watched, and I listened to him. He was trying to explain his side of the story of going to court and getting arrested, the problem he had with the lady at the pool. He was giving his side of the story. So I'm listening, right? I do news. I like to listen to both sides of a story. Well, then he kept talking. He's kind of like Trump himself. I think Trump reminds him of him. He never shut up. And next thing you know, he's talking about Catholics and their problem. He was talking about Jewish people and the problem there. And he just kept going and going. Sometimes you let people talk long enough to hang themselves. Mr. McGinty is one of them. He has a serious issue that needs to be addressed. A sex offender recently released from prison has registered a temporary address at a home in, where? The Villages. Brian Stephen, I can't pronounce that last name, 47 on Friday, registered an address at 3152 Atwell Avenue in the village of Polo Ridge, according to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. I can't pronounce that last name, was released in January from state prison after serving time on charges of possession of child pornography. He was arrested in 2015 in Fort Myers after an undercover investigation led to several computers owned by whatever that last name is. One of the computers contained images of child pornography, including naked prepubescent girls in various poses, some provocatively in a bathtub. They live amongst us, people. Since his release from prison, he has been living in Cape Coral, but now he lives in the Villages, 55 Plus Park. Retirement community, what seems to be for every sexual offender in the world to come live. A villager checked her bank statement and found a teenager had ripped her off. The 77-year-old contacted the Sumter County Sheriff's Office on Thursday and provided information leading to the arrest of an 18-year-old Travis Pickren later that same day on multiple fraud charges. The woman, whose address and relationship to Pickren were redacted from the arrest report to protect her privacy, provided a deputy with her Citizens First Bank statement, which showed that Pickren had transferred money from her account to his Capital One checking account. In addition, the woman showed the deputy a statement from her Chase credit card account, which showed Pickren has transferred money from her account to his PayPal account. The total amount stolen was $905. Pickren was taken into custody and booked at the Sumter County Detention Center. The North Carolina native was released after posting a $2,600 bond. Well, he probably wrote a check. Instead of letters to the editor this week, I am going to read a commentary by a fairly famous author that lives here in the Villages, and they've had their books published and sold, and so I do respect what this person says. I may not agree with everything they say, but I do respect it, and I want to read you, because she actually touches on some of the things that I try to point out. And it's political, I know, but it's pretty interesting, I think. It's titled, "Have They No Shame?" That's a statement, not a question. They is the Village's developer. Here's what they have: power, money, and greed, with giant dashes of vengeance and manipulation thrown in. The developer is determined to repeat the fiasco of 4 years ago in an effort to assure only those willing to do his bidding are elected to the Sumter County Commission. Now, you can argue whether that's politics, and that's fair. I don't know, but she's right. On literally the last day to file, 3 bobbleheads threw their hats in the ring in the hopes of assuring Orrin Miller, Craig Estep, and Deb Butterfield are not elected to the county commission. The official candidates, Mary Lazick, Todd Kuhn, and Don Wiley, have each received significant donations from the developer. Whom do they think they will owe their allegiance to? The residents of Sumter County or the developer? These last-minute filings assure that 51,328 citizens of Sumter County will be unable to vote in the August primary election as of 14 June 2024. These include registered Democrats as well as non-party affiliates. Together, that amounts to 42% of the electorate who are now disenfranchised and unable to vote in the primary for their choice to represent them on the county commission. Lest you think the county commission has little impact on your lives, members are responsible for adopting ordinances and resolutions which establish policies and programs to protest the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of the county. This includes an operating budget, i.e. taxes. One example of many where the developer's agenda took priority was a property tax increase of 26% in 1 year. Shouldn't all voters be able to have a say in the operating budget? Shouldn't voters throughout the county have a say in the policies and programs that impact us all? Well, none of commission members are beholden to the developer. I don't care what political party you are. This is a fact. Enough already. Last I heard, we still live in a democracy. And yet, 42% of the voters will be unable to exercise their right to vote. Remember this in August and vote for the candidates committed to serving you and not the developer. Let me repeat that last line because it's a big one. Remember this in August and vote for the candidates that are committed to serving you and not the developer. That's sent in by Marcia Shearer, a Village's author. You can disagree with any part of that. That's perfectly fine. But I just want people to understand the manipulation that goes on here. He's the number one employer in Sumter County. He had Hague, which is a state representative, on his payroll to pass laws that financially help him and his companies. It benefited him. Didn't benefit anybody in Sumter County. This is all the despicable things going on that I see. I question if any of it is legal, but nobody seems to be concerned. How many holes in ones of golf did we get this week? I think we got 4. Let's see what we got here. A Village of Marsh Bend resident was thrilled after getting his first hole-in-one after a very long wait. Gary Lentz has been golfing for 49 years and has played in excess of 5,000 rounds of golf, but he never had a hole-in-one. All of that changed on Monday, June 17, when he scored his first lucky ace at the Sweet Gum Executive Golf Course. Well, congratulations on your hole-in-one, Gary. An early morning golfer got his 6th hole-in-one at a course in the Villages. Ed Hanlon was out early on the morning of Monday, June 17, when he scored the lucky ace at the Escambia Executive Golf Course. It has been less than a year since he got his 5th hole-in-one on July 31st, 2023. Well, congratulations on your hole-in-one, Ed. Mo Helu of the Village of Bonita got his first hole-in-one at the Cane Garden Championship Alamanda course. He scored the lucky ace on June 5th at hole number 2. I never saw it go up to the cup. I thought it rolled off the green, he said. Well, it didn't. It went into the hole for your hole-in-one. Congratulations on your hole-in-one, Mo. A Village of Dunedin resident was thrilled to get her first hole-in-one. Donna Bryant scored the lucky ace at hole number 1 at Turtle Mountain Executive Golf Course. It was about 94 yards, and she was using a 7-iron. Congratulations on your hole-in-one, Donna. I dedicate all my news to you guys, because if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing half of this. I just couldn't afford to do it. But I thank you, and I appreciate every one of you. And those of you that's not a Patreon member or YouTube member, but I would prefer you to be a Patreon member. You can be as little as $2 a month. Commercial free. You get special access to the private Discord we have 24/7 for our members and members only. And we have a members lunch once in a while that everybody gets together when they can. We go to that and we sit and we talk and put a face to a name. So that being said, be safe, be well, take care, be aware,
and don't leave your keys in the golf cart.
This week's news is brought to you by my Patreon and YouTube members. Thanks, guys. You're the best.